Hey everyone, I am Christina from ChristinaReisinger.com, and I'm back with Caleb, my husband. And today we're going to talk to you about hard questions and things that need to be included. So I'm going to start off by telling you guys a little bit about what we went through. And I'll just let Caleb interject, as he sees fit. But so one of the biggest questions and the most frequent questions a mother gets is, how many children do you have? And for those of you who have not met us, we had a daughter who passed away in 2016. She was only 10 and a half months old. And so anytime someone asks us how many children that we have, it's always, at least in my mind, it's a point of contention or confusion. And it's just like, I don't know what to say. So, and Caleb and I kind of have talked about this, like he just recently has a new profile for work, and it says we have 5 children. When I speak to people, I say we have 6 because I don't want to not include Isabella. And there was a point where people were asking me that, and he was like, well, why, because now you have to explain it, right?
Right.
So
I thought it was easier to just say I had 5, which is true. That's what we have currently. And instead of having to qualify, well, we had 6, but 1 child passed away. So it just avoids that situation, which tends to put people at ease because if you tell them that you had a child that passed away, they kind of, whatever you were doing, it kind of breaks that up, and then the person is, it takes things off in a different direction. So to avoid that, it's just easier to say 5.
yeah, and I can see his point. It kind of interrupts the flow of things. It depends on the situation, I suppose. But for me, that was not honoring her, because we have 5 here on earth. We have 6 kids. And so being able to tell people about her was very important to me. However, sometimes that goes into extra time and, like he said, some awkwardness, because then you kind of throw people off and they don't know what to say. So it's a judgment call on whoever you're talking to and what circumstance that you're in. The other thing that I struggle with, and we kind of came, I think, to terms at one point, was writing her name on birthday cards and Christmas cards and things like that. So, I wrote from Christina and Caleb, and then I would list all the kids, and I could not leave Isabella out. And one day he said, well, why are you writing her name on there? Like, she's here. And I think that you thought that it was me kind of being stuck in my grief and not being able to let go, right?
That's what it seemed like to me. But, looking back on it, it's just kind of, that's something that I would say goes with your personality. And
yeah, definitely.
And it's not going to be an issue when we do this with relatives and everybody that knows. But if you send Christmas cards to people that don't know, that might be a little bit confusing. But, just something to think about.
I can see that. And one of the solutions that we came up with is that I would write all the other kids, and then I would write Isabella in heaven. Now, that doesn't really sing to me, so to speak, but it is a better compromise for me to say that. So it's a little bit of an explanation, but it's also a comfort for me, so I can still include her, because there's never going to be a day as a mom that I'm not going to want to include her, because she is our child, and I never want anybody to forget her, especially like the kids and our parents and things like that. I mean, not that our parents would ever forget her, but the kids might, because they're so young. And so I want to keep talking about her so that they don't forget her.
Right, and it's obviously this isn't for everybody. There's going to be a lot of people who would definitely never do this because it's painful to remind them of things, or it might be painful to remind other people in the family that are getting the cards or what have you. and some of them might, I can see, be really upset with it and be angry that the person is continuing to bring up this person, perhaps, and that could be the case. I could see that, but for other folks, for other families, let's say, and friends, this may be a good thing that they embrace and that they all do it, and it may be something they share together.
Right. And I recently spoke to a mother who lost a child, and she said some of the same thing that I am. So I'm not sure that it's specific to being a mother or it's a personality thing, just the way that we process the grief. But she was basically saying the same thing that I am, is that, if other people are offended by it, then that's their problem. That's not her problem, because she needs to honor her child, and she needs to do what she needs to do to get past this. Her daughter will never be out of her mind, just like mine won't. As a mother, we feel that human being from the inside of us, and we carry them for 9 months, most of the 9 months, and it's just a huge part of who you are. When you lose a child, there's a part of you that goes as well. And it's not that you can't take steps forward and be healthy about the grieving, but I believe that doing things like this is healthy, because it allows me to honor her, but it also allows me to start moving forward and saying, you know what, I have a child. She lives with Jesus, and that's okay, because she's happy now, and I'm okay. I've made peace with it. And I'm going to walk forward in my purpose here on earth until I get to see her once again. So, you have any tips for people that maybe, think differently, kind of like we do?
So, just what I would say is, if you have a person who's experienced a loss that's doing something like this, and I'm guilty too, don't be as critical as you might like to be, because you don't understand it, or it's not something that you would do. Certainly that's, in our case, I probably wouldn't have done this.
Right.
But it doesn't hurt anything, and it's helpful to the other individual, and so there's no reason to be critical about it. It might, if it manifests in other things, and you'll judge that for yourself, then that may be something that's an issue. But if it's just as little as writing their name on cards, or feeling like you have to tell people and things like that, then there's not an issue with that at all.
Right. And likewise, if you're on the other side, like I am, don't get judgmental about the other person, because Isabella was his daughter too. And, I've talked about this in previous videos. I was very angry for the first probably year after she passed away, because we did not grieve the same. But he still grieved. So, his grief didn't have to look like my grief, even though she was both, she belonged to both of us. So just because you're in pain and somebody else does not grieve the way that you're grieving, that doesn't mean it's wrong. It means it's different, and because somebody's grieving a little bit more than you might think they should, be able to recognize warning signs, if they need some medical help, or, they need to see a therapist, that kind of thing, especially if there's any kind of thoughts of suicide or anything like that. But, otherwise, let them think about their loved one. Let them honor their loved one. Let them do the thing that they need to do so that they can start moving forward and that they can process the grief, right? You'd agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So we thank you for coming to share this time with us today, and we look forward to seeing you again. Please make sure you give us a comment on anything that you would like us to cover, and we will continue to be blessed and bless others, and we will see you next time.
See ya.